Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Unboxed Live. I'm your host, Rob Gagne with Bovida. Today I have a special guest on, but let's talk about what we're unboxing today because Super Bowl is this Sunday, and why not talk about LFD's special edition football cigar of 2021. Now I have to kind of hold this carefully because this box is a very rough cut box. It's basically just Spanish cedar or some sort of wood, and it's nailed together. So this lid comes off, it's not hinged, but the beautiful thing on the inside, of course, they have a beautiful story about how they're donating 2 cents of every cigar to Cigar Rights for America, which is amazing. Of course, packaged with Bovida, but more importantly, let's talk about these cigars because the presentation is these cigars. This special edition football cigar is always happening every year from LFD. Since 2015 is when I can see the first recording of it. The cigar is always an Ecuadorian Habano, an Ecuadorian Connecticut and a Habano wrapper on the outside. Sometimes they do more prominently the Habano, and sometimes they do more predominantly the Connecticut. So this cigar, again, it's a 10-pack. It's coming in right at $200. And the story behind it is that only the shops in the area, Tampa or Florida for this case, get this. But I will have to say, that's not always the case because I saw some show up at a brick and mortar here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So we'll talk to Tony. I got him on the other line, and we're going to check out this cigar and everything football related about this cigar because it's a good way to bring in the Super Bowl. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Rob. Good to see you, brother.
You too. Appreciate it. This cigar, of course, like I said in the beginning, this cigar is only sold to retailers in the state that the Super Bowl is happening, but
Right.
I saw some coming out of a shop out of St. Paul. How did that happen? Do some of them kind of migrate away from home every once in a while?
We stay faithful to what, to our whole thing about we only sell it to the shops in the state that's hosting the Super Bowl. Now, retailers, they know each other and they owe each other favors, and they do what
Sure,
they
sure.
do. I don't have a lot of control over what happens after we sell them. So that's who knows.
Absolutely. I hear you. I hear you. Um, Before we get into the cigar and talking about it and understanding how this thing even got created, what I have to know is with Kansas City being the defending champions of last year, do you feel Tampa can actually squeak out a win and claim the title for the Super Bowl this year?
Absolutely, man. And I don't think it's even about squeaking it out. I think they can beat Kansas City. I mean, I'm a miserable Dolphins fan for my whole life, and well, we had a fantastic year. We actually had hope for once, and since like the last 15 years. But the Dolphins played really well against Kansas City. So if the Dolphins could take them to the last final minute, why can't Brady beat them? It can happen.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So there it is. Tony says absolutely easily an opportunity for Tampa to sweep and take out Kansas City and claim the title. But I do have one reservation. In reading some of these articles, Brady, this is the first time he's not underneath basically the mentorship and tutelage of Bill Belichick. How much of that mentorship do you think plays into his performance, or do you think it's a moot point and he's going to totally be fine Super Bowl Sunday?
Well, so I've unfortunately, again, being a Dolphins fan, I've had to follow the Patriots. My entire life since we're in the same division. We play them twice every year, and that's that whole dynasty was a real pain in my ass for a long time. But I was always, and I've had to what's the word? I mean, I have to admit that I'm wrong, man, because I always said that Brady is a fantastic quarterback, uh,
Yeah,
but Belichick is the real genius behind this whole thing. I always said it's yeah, Brady's great, but if Belichick, say he had Peyton Manning or maybe he could have won more championships with Peyton Manning, or maybe if he had Aaron
sure.
Rodgers. I always thought Belichick is like, dude, you give him anybody and he's gonna make something out of him. But I'm eating crow, man, because Brady's doing it without him, and I did not expect it. I really did not. And he just proved that he's the greatest of all time now. Even if he wins or not, I gotta admit it. He's the greatest of all time now. That was my one reservation was that I always thought, Belichick is the genius behind this whole thing.
Right. Absolutely. And I think you're right. It's cool to see him succeed no matter what. And it is actually a fun story to watch because, of course, you just kind of think after you've built I think it's a 7+ year relationship with a coach and a whole team. Granted, it's not everything, but it is something. So that's where I kind
Yeah,
of sit on that. But it's
it's
cool to
more
see
like
him.
20 years at this point, I think. It's far
uh,
longer than I care to remember.
right. Okay. So this cigar only so the earliest I see this cigar coming out is 2015. Is that when it got started?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And
that's
then how did the idea behind this cigar come about? Because that's a really unique position on just sending this cigar to the people in that state. And so how
right.
did this even come about? Like why would you guys even want to do this?
The whole idea, if I'm not mistaken, actually popped up during a conversation in a cigar shop somewhere in Phoenix. I believe it was just in the lounge hanging out. I wasn't there. Carney, our vice president of sales, was there. Either having a van or just hanging out, and the conversation just came up between them all, and the idea popped up, and so Carney talked to us about it, and it sounded good, man. It sounded something interesting, but
That's
we wanted
Jonathan,
we
right?
yeah,
Jonathan
yeah,
Carney? Yeah,
yeah,
great guy. So hats off to him.
fantastic
He's
guy.
the one who sent me all these cigars. So thank you,
Yeah, man.
Jonathan. But it came up with him in a shop thinking, and the whole idea was to do a Super Bowl cigar, or just how did that like,
If
or
I'm
just
not
a football cigar?
I believe the Super Bowl might have been hosted in Phoenix that year. And that's maybe where the whole thing came about. And we wanted to do it, but these kinds of things, if we release that to the whole country, man, that's it's gonna collapse the factory. Like these cigars aren't easy to make. They take a lot of time, and so we have to do it in a limited capacity. And so we thought it was fair to say, okay, wherever the Super Bowl is, that's where we'll sell them. And as you've seen already, they always find a way to migrate all over the place. So
Sure.
if somebody wants it bad enough, they find it.
Absolutely. Yeah, little trade between friends. Yeah, it's great. So the idea comes up in a smoke shop. Jonathan brings it over to you guys and you guys just say yes, or was there pushback? Was anybody at the factory or you or Lido or anyone going, why would we do this? This doesn't make any sense.
Nah, man, that's what LaFleur is all about. Just doing unique, funky, weird stuff. We've been doing that since day one. So no, we liked the idea from the very beginning. The only question was, what's it going to look like? What are we going to do? And as you've seen over the years, it's changed. The first one, I look back at it and I'm like, oh man, we really could have. It could have been a lot nicer, But it still worked. But after that, we started getting a little more creative with it, and basically, you know. Holding contests here in the rolling rooms. You come up with the best one, and so every year, I'll get a tray full of like 5 to 10 different options, and and then we'll look at them all and decide which one we like best. And yeah, so it's a fun thing every year to that time of year when we're all right. What's the football cigar going to look like? What are we going to do?
So you
Um,
guys roll out 5 or 6 different styles of what you want to do and then you pick the best one?
yeah, basically.
That's amazing. I love it. So some of the iterations, I mean, if we can, I think there's a half wheel article where they show
Yeah.
all 5 of them that we'll try to pull up here. But if we look at the creation, it's always this football in the middle. That is this stamped out of, is it like a stamp or how are they creating this football that's right in the middle?
It's actually the football. We've tried doing it by hand, but to do the laces by hand is nearly impossible. So what we do is we have a little laser engraver that will cut the
Oh,
shape out of a leaf, and then the roller can stick it on there. But the
brilliant.
rest is all done by hand. The twirls and all that. That's
Yeah.
all cut out by hand and wrapped around by hand.
Well, that's smart because it looked very crisp. That's why I was saying, I'm like, man, that does not look like it's done by hand because that is very crisp, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The half wheel article here, I'll be coming up in just a minute and we can kind of see all the different iterations. And I think it's very interesting. This has always been a Habano and Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. So no matter what
Right.
you're doing, you're always messing with those two. Of course, it looks like a regular cigar with just a football on it the first time, and then kind of that perfecto shape the second time. And then we kind of have this torpedo effect going on. And I'll have to say the one right in the middle is the one you guys sent. Oh no, the second one to the far right is 2018's, I believe, that came to Minneapolis.
In Minnesota. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pretty sweet. About that cigar, which I think is interesting. So the one before it, with kind of the diagonal cut foot, got an 88 from Half Wheel. Then the 2018 got a 91, which is a really good score for Half Wheel, and
Oh
ended
yeah.
up on their top 25 for that year. So
Yeah.
with that being said, are you guys messing with the flavor profile every year and kind of changing it up? Or are you always trying to do one specific flavor from the cigar?
The blend remains largely the same. We really haven't changed the blend of the cigar, but the thing is, the blend acts differently in different sizes, and you have these, different kind of unique sizes, figurados that it just it it reinterprets the blend essentially every time, just being a different size, shape, etc. So it's always a little different because of that.
Gotcha. Very interesting that those two cigars scored so differently. But again, that is a perfect example of what a shape and size can do to a cigar and just have an effect. So this year, it looks like, are we following suit with the Habano being the dark and the Connecticut being the light? Are we following suit with what you've done in the past? Kind of always making
Correct.
the football lighter?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. The rollers that roll these cigars, is it multiple rollers or just one in the factory?
It's we have two that work on these types of things like that, the Solomon Unico, the TCFKAs, things like that. These kind of like, more unique kind of, more these cigars that require a little more skill and a little more artistic, and they're dedicated to that stuff.
Just two rollers then.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how many of these usually get produced for the Super Bowl cigar?
Yeah, that can vary quite greatly depending on the state. You know,
Okay.
Florida is much bigger than Minnesota when it comes to cigar retail, so it's a lot more.
How many
So you
did you
could
guys
tell.
produce? Do you know?
We produced in the range of 2,000 boxes.
And they're 10 count boxes. So that's 200,000 sticks.
Yep.
That is amazing. So between two people, 200,000 sticks, and kind of what's the time frame that they had to roll it?
They started rolling these. I mean, dude, we so the Super Bowl's over, and probably a month after, we're already thinking of the next year's cigar and working on designs, and then you know, uh, by the summer, we got to start rolling them.
Wow. Have you guys ever thought of making the cigar? Certain companies do a football shaped cigar. Have you
But
thought about doing that? Or is that something you're like, no, we don't want to steal that idea and we just want to keep the decoration?
yeah, the football shaped cigar. First off, yeah, it's been done, and so we don't want to copy somebody else's idea. And second off, this cigar. The football shaped cigars are very cool, all right? So I have nothing against them. The thing is, yeah, it's not the most practical cigar perhaps to smoke. So we want to make a cigar that people can smoke and not have any issues with.
Yeah.
Just smoke it normally as if it were a normal cigar.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea.
I do have to thank you for that because even though there are some manufacturers that make a great football looking cigar and they smoke just fine, it is very awkward to smoke no matter what you're doing because it's
A little impractical.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I do appreciate this just being a decorative cigar, but a very smokable, great draw, good flavor. Nothing about this cigar makes me go, yeah, that's just a novelty. No, it's a great cigar
Yeah,
with a novelty
exactly.
attached to it.
Exactly.
So
That's the idea.
you did talk about two things that I thought were very interesting. One, you enlightened me on. Second, I kind of knew about. So it's kind of the chicken before the egg talk. So which came first, the Super Bowl cigar, or I believe it's called the Solomon's Unico, which is
Hmm.
a very decorative 10 count box that gets extremely artistic. And I think it's amazing to look at. But I couldn't find any record where that started before the football cigar. So what came first?
I believe the football cigar came first. I'm pretty sure. I would bet on it.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
but they were very close. It was like one after the
yes.
other.
Yes, it was basically from what I could find from like Half Wheel and Cigar Coop. 2015 was the Super Bowl cigar, and then 2016 the Unicos showed up
That
at,
sounds about right.
yeah. But you said that there was a cigar before all of these that actually inspired this whole sort of decorative cigar. And which one
Yeah.
was that?
It's now known as the TCFKA-M, which stands for the cigar formerly known as M, because we had to change the original name due to some legal issues. But that was our first like just super funky, kind of artistic looking cigar. And then we made a collector's edition that kind of took it to the next level that we release every now and then, you know. And that was our first real soiree into that type of thing. And that probably came out maybe a year before the collector's edition came out like a year before the footballs.
Okay, the M cigar or the TCFAM?
TCFKA.
Sorry, TCFKAM. Yeah, we'll see if we can get a picture of that and jump that up on the screen. Somebody did just ask, will you make one of the NBA or MLB cigars? Is there anything in the works to go further inside the conglomerate that is professional sports?
Not currently. I mean, I won't rule anything out, but not currently. There's some. I love basketball. I'm not a big baseball fan, but there's something special about football. You know, like football and smoking cigars. It's more of a thing. You know, so football is the obvious choice to go with if we're only going to do one.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Baseball and cigars. I mean, come on. They used to step up to the plate sometimes with the cigar in the mouth, right?
fair enough. Fair enough.
Here is the TCFKAM.
There you go.
Wow, that's a mouthful. That is a very good looking cigar. Of course, this came out not in 2019. It sounds like in 2014 is when it
There you
was
go.
starting to come out and being introduced. So, yes, that is the true egg before the chicken. And
That's the
that is
one.
how we started this whole thing. For you guys at the factory, is it fun to do this project every year? I would assume like one, the artistic style. Is it just, are you just giving the rollers free reign to kind of do whatever they want? Or are you trying to guide them down a path of like, this is what we kind of want it to look like and this is the shape we want?
Essentially, I'll give them free reign. You know, come up with stuff. Give me, you know, like I said, you know, we'll have a tray full of different options, and perhaps from there we can tweak it a little bit. Say, I like one of the options, but I would like to, you know, a slight tweak or whatever. You know, we can take it from there. But yeah, it's fun, and I like to just let them have fun and come up with stuff. You know.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the football cigar is a fun project. It's a mixture of fun and stress, but that's all right.
What's the most stressful part about it? Is it like literally trying to get it out and hit it on time? Or
Yeah,
is it more or less the creation of it?
it's about getting it out, hitting it on time, making sure we make enough, because we got to predict. 'Cause, what always happens is when we first ask retailer, when we first present it to the retailers, they'll place an order. We try to tell them that they're going to need more. They don't listen, and then they end up calling back to order more. So, it's so we try to make as many as we can as we think we're going to need, and so it's just because the cigars need time before you throw them onto the market, also. So we need to be able to do it with ample time.
Sure. Absolutely. So have you seen the trend with the retailers typically going too low as you said and then calling back and then are you literally having to turn them away and say, I'm sorry, we don't have any more left? Or are they allowed an opportunity to order again and just have to wait for the product to come back?
It never fails. They always order too low, but we plan for that. We make some more because we know after 5 years we already know how it goes. So we make a
Right.
little more than we take orders for because they always come back around. Yeah.
What was the biggest upset? Obviously, you said you've had 5 years to kind of get an idea of what the trends might be, no matter what state or territory you're going to. But what was maybe one of the biggest upsets through this whole series that you were like, man, we totally botched that?
Uh, Probably the first one for sure. There was a learning curve. So, we took the orders and we made what we took orders for, and then there was a lot more. Many more orders came in, and there's no way to do it. So, we were a little better prepared for it the second year, and then from then on out, we kind of got it figured out.
Yeah, I'm sure the first year you're throwing kind of darts blindfoldedly at the walls, trying to see if you can get a bullseye. It's very difficult.
Exactly, exactly. And it's a thing where like you don't want to overproduce either because then what the hell are you going to do with them,
Right,
Um, because if retailers want to sell them for the game. Everybody wants to have them for the game. People buy
right.
them after, of course, but the whole point is to have them for the game.
I would definitely say like that's the fun part about this cigar for me is like if I were hosting a Super Bowl party and to be able to say, "Hey, we're smoking a Super Bowl cigar." That's the fun part.
Exactly.
It's again, it's not about um, the novelty of it, but the novelty just makes the experience that much better.
That's it, man.
Now, with that being said, since you had told me that you're staying in the Dominican Republic while your dad is actually going to Miami to partake in some of the festivities. Now, are you getting is somebody from LFD going to the Super Bowl because you're creating this cigar or just going in general? Tell me. I mean, I got to know.
No, no, we don't get any free entries into the Super Bowl because of the cigar, unfortunately.
They don't
But yeah,
care
my
that much about our cigar industry that they're like, "Oh my
he might
gosh,
not have
yes,
caught on
come."
just yet. We'll see eventually. We'll keep at it and hope for the best. But no, that we haven't been blessed with that just yet. But yeah, my dad's going to be in Tampa tonight. They're doing a big old event out there, and uh, and so yeah, man, it should be great. We haven't done a lot of events this year. It's been well, not this year, but since in the last year, I guess. So it'll be a fun one. I'm sure he's gonna have a good time, and he's all vaccinated now. So
Good.
he's safe,
Good.
tested negative, so
Wonderful.
so it's good.
Awesome. We have another great question. Cigars and Games said, why just the state it's played in? I think we kind of answered that, right? Like, we're just sending it to the state because of limited. But the second part of this is very interesting. Why not have the cigar for both teams that have then been, that have them for their respective states? So essentially, like, if these different states are going and that state isn't the one hosting it, why not just make it for the two different states? So because they're probably going to be the most invested, right? So if you have two different states that are going at it, why not send it to them?
'Cause then we would have to send it to Massachusetts every year. I'm kind of sick of
Dang Patriots,
that.
dang you. So yeah, you just have an overabundance. Like every single retailer would be like, yeah, we've had this cigar for 5 years in a row. Check that out.
They would lose interest in it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. It really isn't a bad idea. We'll see if some year in the future we rethink how we sell it. Yeah, but it's
I
not a
think
bad
it's a
idea at
great
all.
idea. I think it's a great idea because then I know too, like our producer Ramsey had bought when we hosted the Super Bowl in 2018, he had bought a cigar and he's sitting here saving it for when the Vikings. And I told him, I'm like, dude, just smoke that cigar because one, by the time the Vikings win it, you're not gonna want to smoke it, and two, um, you'll just get the cigar that that they go to the Super Bowl with, right?
Exactly,
So I
exactly. But
like
yeah,
that idea.
now that the Patriots dynasty's over, we could consider something like that. So
Do you
we'll see.
think the dynasty's over because of Brady?
Yeah, I think it's over. Yeah, I mean the not just Brady. I
Really?
think they've had a lot of they've lost a lot of personnel and everything. But dude, it's To win in the NFL, you need a quarterback, man. You can't do it without a quarterback. There's a few, just anomalies like, the Bucks in the early 2000s and the Ravens, but if you're gonna do it without a quarterback, you have to have an all-time great defense, and that's just as difficult to do. So I don't know, man. And how long is Belichick gonna really stick around? He's probably gonna retire sometime soon. I think the dynasty's over. I'm really hoping the dynasty's over. I can't count out Belichick, but I think for the most part, at least the sheer dominance that we're used to is over. Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Now's the time. Now's the Dolphins' time, man. We're
Yeah.
coming. We're
Oh,
coming in.
now
We're
he's
coming in.
going way deep, going and reaching for the
You
straight
just
underdog,
watch.
the Dolphins. Here we
Two
go.
years from now, the Dolphins are going to be a real team, a real
Okay,
football team.
what's Joe Montana was the big quarterback for the Dolphins, right?
No, Dan Marino.
Sorry, Dan Marino. Sorry. Thank you, Dan Marino. So, is your attachment to the Dolphins just because when you were growing up, Dan Marino was like probably one of the hottest quarterbacks at the time?
Yeah, the Dan Marino was the standard for quarterbacks for a long
Right.
time. He was the man. Unfortunately his the knock on Marino is that he never won a Super Bowl. And that's
I didn't know
from
that.
you could blame that on a million different things, but at the end of the day, the team under Marino never won a Super Bowl. So that's always the unfortunate thing. But he retired with virtually every passing record in the book. So he's
Sure.
as far as quarterbacks go, there's nobody's much better than him. Because unfortunately for all of us, he they couldn't get it done.
And the
You
chat
know.
board is lighting up now as they go, no, he's not. And everyone's throwing in their comments right now. Feel free, comment away. Challenge Tony right here on live YouTube. Um, you had a question that came up. I want to definitely hit that one up. It was a good question. So it's just Manny said, I love LFD cigars, especially being Dominican, but sometimes I feel cigars are picked based on the band. Are there any plans to update the bands?
To update the bands. Do you not like the bands, Manny? I think our bands are nice. There's a not immediately. No, I am working on a rebrand of one line in particular that I feel like probably needs a little love, but no, for the most part, our classic bands will stay as they are, and we'll always keep coming up with new stuff.
It's a great challenge to think about, right? So, do you see in retail spaces that people are picking up cigars based on the presentation? And that, i.e., in Manny's case, he's saying the band helps dictate whether or not they pick it up. Do you feel like that is true?
Absolutely, man. Presentation is extremely important in any product you sell, as far as I can tell. I think what happens is if the cigar looks good, if it's well presented, then before the person even tries it, they have high hopes for it. They think it's going to be good. So if the cigar actually isn't good, they'll still think it was a little better than it actually was. And if the cigar actually is really good, then they're going to think it was just through the roof. So I think the presentation is a major factor in the preconception of the cigar before you even smoke it. So I think you have to have that mix of the presentation and then actually deliver once it's lit up.
Absolutely. So, I'm not sure if it's, I mean, this is just like a standard LFD, classic label.
That's the
Your
generic, yeah.
Yeah, the generic one. Maybe this is what he's talking about. I'm not sure. Obviously, on this cigar, I don't think any further labeling is needed because of how decorative it is. But through your lineup, there are several different bands that I can think of. The 1994 has like a totally different label. The Double Lajero has totally different label. The Airbender,
Mhm.
and then there is another one that I'm missing that's slightly different. I don't know the name of it, but it's kind of more red. It's more red of a label.
Uh, well, the Ligero and Double Ligero, for example, are predominantly red. 94 is pretty red. The Airbender also, the red, black, and gold are kind of present in almost all of our cigars. Um,
It's kind of flagship
so
colors.
yeah, yeah, those are the traditional colors.
Gotcha.
But we've ventured out from that, in the last handful of years, Lennox and the Andalusian Bull and things like that. And
Oh yeah,
uh,
Lennox. Love that cigar. Great cigar.
yeah, man.
It looks so intimidating, but it is so well balanced. It smokes beautifully. So if anyone's been intimidated to pick up that cigar because of how dark it looks, it's totally worth it. It will not
That
kick your butt at all. I don't
that
think.
was the plan. We wanted to make something smooth, not too strong, just let the flavors just kind of speak for themselves and get them well balanced and all that. But yeah, that's a common misconception that just because the wrapper is dark, that the cigar is strong, it was entirely untrue. The strength of the cigar is determined by the ratio of Ligero, Viso, and Seco in the filler. It really is not determined by the wrapper.
Totally agree. And I was actually surprised. I learned about one brand that didn't have any Ligero in their cigars, and I was like, "Holy cow, I didn't even think of that." So, when you were you responsible for partly blending Lennox?
Yeah, Lennox was one of my projects. I the concept, the design, the blend, everything that was
That was your baby?
one of my babies. Yeah.
Nice. Hats off to you. Great cigar.
Thank you.
Thank you for, I mean, too, like your brand is probably known for being, because of the airbenders and the double Ligeros, probably being known for a very strong cigar in the
Yeah.
industry. So I like the fact that you kind of hid kind of like the subtleness through Lennox. You
Sure.
stuck with the traditional look of your brand, but then made it so tame compared to what it stands next to in some cases. I mean, that cigar at Tobacco Grove sits next to an airbender, and I was like, holy cow, this is gonna be way. And they were like, no, you gotta try this. So great cigar. Hats off to you for doing that.
Thank you,
Beautiful
man.
stick. Well, I'd have to say I learned a lot about this project. I love it that you guys do it every year. It's something I look forward to every Super Bowl. Again, if you guys are interested in getting any of these cigars, you can definitely hit up major chains and obviously online retailers like King Corona Cigars. There's Neptune Cigars down there. Oxford Cigar Company has them. There's a bunch of places that have these. You can order them, get them sent to you. Heck, you might even be able to get some before Sunday's probably pushing it, but you'll definitely be able to get some. Tony, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. If you guys haven't seen, we do have a box press with Tony and Lito where we ask the father and son duo questions, and it's very entertaining over at our box press on our YouTube channel. But Tony, thank you so much for joining me again today. Hats off to you for one, being a part of this beautiful legacy that we have that your company continues to bring on. And thank you again for just spending some time.
Thanks to you, brother. And let me just say that interview that you were just talking about, that's probably one of the best interviews we've ever done. You like hats off to you, man. You're as good as it gets when it comes to your trade. You're very good at it, very professional, and so it's always a pleasure doing these things with you, brother.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's a huge compliment. I'm definitely going to ride that one into the weekend. That's going to be my high for the weekend. So I appreciate it,
just
man.
just make sure Sean and Tim know that I said it.
Yes. I'm going to send this to Sean and Tim and be like, hey,
Replay
by
it
the
over and
way,
over.
yeah. By the way, at the end, it's really good. Tony's, yeah, he speaks a lot of truth. Thanks, brother. Be well. And everyone out there, thank you so much for joining in, commenting, being a part of this. If you have any comments, drop them down below. We want to hear what you're smoking for the Super Bowl. If you have any questions, we'll try to answer them the best we can. And again, as always, we're here every Friday at noon with hopefully somebody entertaining in the industry like Tony. And Super Bowl Sunday. Hats off to the Tampa Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs going at it this Sunday for Super Bowl. Enjoy it, be safe, and keep your distance. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.